So we can improve upon this a fair bit, as we start trying to get really good topology going and everything. There's a few things that are a bit of a mess here, and one of them really is the use of shell. It is overkill. There are two sides to this. There's an inside and an outside, and this is going to cause us all kind of grief. Now, I extruded this outside edge here, so I extruded this out, which means that there really is this little hollow pocket going down inside there, which means that shell is actually shelling and setting in and duplicating that inside piece. So you can see that it's like just jamming it together. So this piece is starting to kind of crash into itself. Really not a good solution, there. Two, we've also got the problem that the entire thing is being shelled. And we don't need a lot of this. We don't need a lot of what's inside here. So it's all been duplicated inside, but are we ever actually going to see that? The back part here is pushed right up against the backpack. Are we going to see that? Does it need to be there? It was easy for us to get started with it there, but we might want to go in and start removing some of these things. So one of the things you can do with shell right off the bat, I'm going to take it back to actually being one segment deep. We've got this in here, but you've got selections here. You can say select interfaces. So if I do that and take a look just with a see-through mode, you can see that it's selecting all those inner polygons. Okay. Now what it is leaving is the edge as it wraps over. Okay. So if we look at it without it, and I just turn off show and result, you can see this doesn't wrap up underneath here. Okay, so you can see it just kind of stops there. But with the shell on, you can see it's wrapping around in places and it's giving us some thickness, but we can get rid of all this extra. So above shell right now, okay, I'm just going to go in and add just temporary things, see what's going on, delete mesh modifier, and it deletes it all. So it actually is much cleaner now. And so if I turn on Turbo Smooth, it's actually cleaned it up because there's none of those extra interior polygons going on. Only issue now is we may see up in here, and of course if we were to render from this angle right now, it would render right through to the other side because there just isn't anything there at all, and that won't be seen in the render. So we may want to just clean that up manually before we move forward. If we leave the shell in there, we're going to have to worry about the shell itself and inside polygons. Do we need to unwrap those separately? How's that going to work with normal maps? There's all kinds of issues that are going to come up. So I'm going to collapse it from here down. Now here's the thing. If I right click and go collapse to, because it's a delete mesh, it actually ends up with an editable mesh at the base here. But if I just simply add in any edit sort of poly modifier, so if I look for an edit poly, let's say, and then just collapse again, okay, and say collapse 2 from there, I'll end up with a poly back down at the bottom. So we can go ahead and be working on this and clean this up some. Now, one of the things is that it's hard to see what you're doing inside here. So let's hide some of this stuff off. So I grabbed all these faces here. I'm just going to hit grow and just grow some of these faces out. Oh, it's too much. Shrink, shrink, shrink. It doesn't look like it's updating for some reason. Maybe because of the, there you go, I have to give it a shake. Maybe because of the, when the recording's happening, it might be fouling my video card or something. So that is picking all of that top there. You can actually hide these polygons and whatnot. I think it's only over here, but we can go over here and hide them. So you'll see hide selected, and now we can see inside. So I haven't deleted them, just hidden them. Now you got to be a little careful. You got some of these polygons we might have missed. But now you can see we've got this, ability to go and grab this inner edge. I'm just going to go 3 and grab that open edge there. And you can see it looks like it's carrying it all the way around here. We may not want to have it carry all the way around. We just might want a part of this. So I'm just going to go back to edge and it'll retain that. I'm not going to use that piece there, or maybe this piece here. It'd be good if we just hid these. Maybe we should just hide these to begin with. So if I take that and I take that piece, and we'll just go and hide selected as well. Looks like we might have a couple more here to hide. And we make sure we just get rid of all this. There we go. And so let's just grab this edge loop here. Oops. And I'm going to grab this all the way around. I'm not going to double click on it or use the border mode, just in case I grab stuff I don't want. And let's give this the thickness we're looking for by just shift dragging it down. So I'm currently right now in, you can see it's screen space. Well, I want to go back to, let's say, view, and I can just shift drag this down and create a bit more inside to it. So now when you see that, you've got this inside pocket. We may have to fix some edge pieces here. Let's go back to the polygons, and I'm going to go in and unhide all this stuff so we can show all of the polygons that we hid. Unhide all. And then we could also go in and do it the other way. So I'm just going to go and grab all this and just grab a whole bunch of stuff, and we can fix the inside. Maybe that's, and I'm going to go grow. We can also do it over here, grow, and maybe just grow again. And let's just get rid of, I'm just going to go in and grab maybe some of that stuff manually. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that one and that one, see what happens. I find sometimes you just kind of find the right ones to grab, and then that's probably pretty good. Grow that out, and then we'll hide that off. And now we can work on this inside edge without having to see too much. So again, show end result off. I'm going to go back to my edge mode. I'm going to grab that whole one. This one I can pretty much, just grab and do that. And I'm going to pull that up, and then we may have to shrink that down so to get it to not crash. And so we could close that off, or we could just keep pulling that up, little bit by little bit. Pull that up a little bit more, and then I'm going to size it down, and we could, try and find a way of sort of just resolving some of those inside ones so that we're seeing that inside edge, and that's it. So how does that look then in the polygon mode? Let's unhide all. Can we see anything? And if we needed to pull it up more, we could fill all that space in and model that second thickness in. So that's going to be way easier to deal with. Now we also don't need the back. We've got all these back pieces here. Do we need any of this? Can we just delete it and get rid of it? So I'm going to say grow, and it looks like we probably want to get rid of even that, and down this side. And again, before you hit delete, I always suggest you orbit around and make sure you didn't accidentally select through to something. Okay, backface colon will actually stop you from picking backface things. But we can get rid of that now. How's that start looking? Well, that even makes it easier to grab the inside and start working on the inside if we wanted with that off there. But that now all gone, you're seeing it is far, far cleaner and a better, better mesh to work with. Now I've got some problems here. Well, those needs to be addressed. It looks like that's, from that inside piece. That's no problem. Again, I'm just going to go back to a screen space. That was Alt-click and right-click and just pull those down and see what I've got. Looks like I've got another one there. And then make sure we just address where some of this is. Sometimes it just takes kind of playing around with grabbing verts and seeing what's what. You can see it jam back onto itself. So there you go. That one looks like it might be part of the problem there. And we can kind of grab some of these and figure out which ones they are and untangle some of this mess. It's best to figure it out now. There we go. And figure out what is overlapping what. So you can see this is kind of overlapping some of that. We'll figure out in the next passes. But there you go. That's resolved some issues we were having. And again, you can see these passing through. Let's fix those a little bit, push them down. make sure we don't have anything jamming through where it shouldn't be. And so that's cleaned up the mesh. So we got most of the way there with shell just to give it thickness, but frankly, we don't need all that. And that's going to be easier for the next steps. If you think you're saving yourself time by not doing that cleanup, you're not. You're making the unwrap and everything else process more time consuming, more of a pain to work with.